Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Well, hello everyone, and good evening, and welcome to the GT Pro Round 4 here live on Apex Racing TV. So, Round 4 is around the historic track of Laguna Seca over in California. So, we've had some interesting rounds so far in rounds 1, 2, and 3. But at the moment, obviously, Sven Newman is currently out on the lead in the championship. So, Dave, it looks like we have a smaller field today, only 20 cars joining us on track, which is probably not a bad thing going around this track, which is very tight, very twisty, and the least cars is probably better for the rest of the drivers that are actually racing.
Yeah, you absolutely nailed it on the head there. We've just seen a bit of a practice session and 18 cars recovered by 1 second. So it's going to be a close race, even though we've only got the 20 cars on the grid. And I think it was Moldovan who found a little bit of form to take fastest in practice. And after being a bit off colour at Montreal, it's certainly a fight back by the Romanian.
Yeah, definitely, as we see the championship standing on the screens at the moment, and Sven Newman taking a slight lead over Bogdan Moldovan, as Dave mentioned there. He had a bit of a blip in the last round in Montreal where Sven Newman came second, but John Derrick in 4th place won the last round of the championship, and obviously that's boosted his places quite significantly. I think he was around about 10th before the last round, currently sat in 4th. Leon Penn, the local Scotsman, in 3rd place at the moment with only 7 points behind Bogdan in 2nd place. Brandon Taboni, Chris Beats, Michael Pawlich, Richard Kofenku, Carl Winkler, and Dominic Ergo top out your top 10. So the sort of top 7 in the championship are all quite close, within 10 points of the leader at the moment. So very much still all to play for, Dave.
Definitely all to play for. We've seen 3 different winners from the opening 3 rounds, and this place will bite if you get it wrong. You've only got to go a little bit wide. The sand will draw you in. And I keep mentioning it every week. These 4 rounds have just got tighter in terms of a circuit. We went to Daytona, we went to Interlagos, we went to Montreal, and now this is probably the tightest of all because the sand just drags the car in, and it's not just going to ruin your lap. It's going to ruin you for a couple of positions if we keep the same gap in terms of pace between everybody we saw in practice.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, this track will throw up some surprises for the drivers. So, it's a bit of a different track than what we've been round previously. So, obviously, the first round was round Daytona, really fast course for these cars. Second round was round Interlagos, again, another fast course with Montreal. This one's a quite short, quite twisty, quite tight track. So, it's going to be difficult to overtake. So it's going to throw up a few more problems for the drivers, but these drivers are pros. Obviously you need to have a 2.2k iRating to get into this series, so all very experienced drivers, so probably enjoy the differences of track that we give them here on ARL.
Yeah, no driver wants to drive the same thing over and over again unless they're pretty quick at that style of circuit. Having a mix, we really get the best out of the drivers, and the overall best driver over these different kinds of circuits will win the championship. As we can see in the qualifying, top 2 in the championship hitting the top at the moment, actually the top 3 in the championship in the top 3 positions, but they're just slowly warming up now. We saw a very off pace first lap, obviously, then starting to build it up, and this place is all about confidence. As we see a driver going off there in a Powlich going off there, and he rejoins from the pits. But that's what I'm saying to you. It's like Monaco. You want to build your confidence up slowly, and then through qualifying get to a race, and then be quick throughout the race.
Yeah, definitely. I think that turn 6 going up the Rainhill straight is one the drivers all love to hate. I think it's a really fast left-hander corner after you come out of turn 5 going up the hill towards turn 6. So it's sort of like a blind corner, but pretty much in these cars you can literally just a slight lift and then back on the accelerator. But if you get that wrong line, then basically it'll kick you out, as we saw there by Michael Powlich coming up there, and gets you spinning out onto that gravel. And if you go into that gravel, that wall on the right hand side, although it's quite far away from these drivers, you can soon quickly creep up on them and hit the cars. Obviously the cars tonight do have, and the drivers have, one fast repair, as we see a great example here of on screen of coming up to the turn 6. So just coming up, a little bit of slight blend, little lift, out wide onto the right hand side, and then back on the power there. But you take that wrong line or hit that curb on the inside, then your car's all going to be bent out of shape coming up that Rainhill straight.
Yeah, there's 3 main corners I find on this circuit. That is one of them, that you just don't want to make a mistake. Same as the corkscrew, just don't make a mistake or you're going to be off the track losing positions. But in terms of time with the qualifying lap, I think Andretti, the first corner, is absolutely crucial. If you ever driven Laguna Seca on iRacing, you get a little bit wrong on, and you just see your time delta just fall away. Just here, that's probably the best line you can take, a double apex by the Porsche of Hitler. And if you go just slightly offline, you will lose half a second easily just in that one corner, and you're not going to gain that back around the rest of the lap.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. That first corner, and it's going to be vital for where these guys finish in the qualifying as well, because that first corner on the first lap will throw up some issues if you're sort of in the mid-pack area, and certainly slow you down going out there. So it's vital that you get a decent qualifying time in this qualifying to get at the front of the grid, to be able to get around this corner nice and smooth, and be able to pick your line, because exactly like you say, Dave, even in the race on that first lap, you can still lose half a second by going offline, and obviously the mismatches that we have in going into that first corner, and the different lines, the unorthodox lines we get as people trying to put their elbows out to try and get that place in that first corner. So that's going to be a vital one at the start of the race. So as we see at the moment, 6 minutes 48 seconds into this qualifying. Currently we got Sven Newman. Michael Sotu has managed to get himself second, 0.112 behind Sven Newman. Moldovan is currently down in third place with Leon Penn in fourth, but Sven Newman, our championship leader at the moment, is certainly the pace setter tonight. What is interesting is we've got some people, some big hitters that are not with us tonight for one reason or other. Maybe it's the week 13 curse that they don't like doing, but there's about 16 drivers in the championship that have decided to give this round a miss.
Yeah, it's quite surprising, really. I'm just having a look at the championship table. For the second week running, we can't see Carl Winkler on the table after finishing or doing a great job, shall we say, for Sven Newman in the second round, holding back the rest of the field for a huge amount of race. He hasn't returned to the series just yet. I think all the top 8 are here. Yeah, I think so. So top 8 of Newman, Moldovan, Penn, Derek Tabone, Beats, Howlich and Kavenku are all here, and they're the drivers who we think are going to be challenging for the championship at this moment in time. So is it like somebody's missing out here in terms of the top of the championship? Not really, but it does give the drivers who have had a bad start to the season a chance to get a good, solid result, with just sort of a few of the midfielders missing out.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously unusual for this championship, we have got prizes for the top 10 finishers within the league. So it's normally only the top 3 getting prizes, but this is this league, being a pro season, has been given the green light, shall I say, to have the top 10 win prizes, and all the prizes have been kindly given by our 3 main sponsors: Virtual Racing School, SDK Gaming and Apex Racing Academy. So ranging from the first place being the top gold in the Apex Racing, which is pretty much all 3 of the top packages from the main sponsors, and then just slightly getting down. So some really good prizes for the top 10 to be fighting it out with.
Yeah, some great prizes, and it's great to see them filtering down through the field. I'm just having a look at live timing now. I can see Sven Newman is on a flight. He's just gone 0.05 of a second slower than Moldovan. He was going purple in the first and second sets, and he must have just lost out in that final set. So he's on a charge at the moment in time. But I can't really see anybody I'd judge as being completely out of position at this moment in time, except for John Derrick down in 15th at the moment. And he obviously won the last round, so he will be wanting to be a bit further up the field, I feel.
Yeah, but I think I mean, obviously, as we watch the last laps coming through now of the guys that are out, obviously anybody starting a new lap now won't be able to. So we're just finishing off the qualifying. But I think he started within the top 10 at Montreal. But obviously, it must be one of his favourite tracks, and it's not very often you actually get to drive a GT3 car around this Laguna Seca track, so it might be throwing a few people some curveballs of trying to relearn the track again, because it's not one you often visit in the GT3s. But as you can see from the timing down, all the way down to 18th place is less than a second, so it just shows how close and how competitive this field is.
Yeah, I've just seen drivers just finishing the laps. Moldovan, Newman, they're finished for the day, so they're first and second with that very small gap between them. And actually everyone else has just finished their laps now, so we've got a couple of drivers just going around to the pits, I think. And John Derrick, who's jumped up to 9th now, so that'll be a better start in position for him. But all the top 8 in the championship are in the top 9 of the grid, so that shows that the cream always rises to the top generally.
Most certainly on that. So as we just wait for this end of the qualifying and the guys to start gridding up, we can go through the final grid places with you. But yeah, one of the absentees I'm sort of disappointed not to see really is Gaten Anger. So obviously the winner of season 1 and season 2 of the GT trophy, and unfortunately had a disastrous Daytona. Didn't finish in that race, and unfortunately the last race as well sort of took him out. So obviously you're allowed to have one drop round within the season, and having two where he has one where he doesn't score, and then the second one sort of almost puts pay to his championship. So he maybe he certainly feels like he's relinquishing his crown, and obviously he's not here tonight, so that's 2 rounds out really from the championship. I'll tell you what, Dave, I'll let you take us through and our wonderful viewers through the grid.
And on pole position, we have second in the championship, Bogdan Moldovan. He's joined on the front row by Sven Newman. In grid number 3 is Suitu, and he has Gavencu just alongside him. So it's a good day for the Romanians at the front of the grid. Chris Beats qualifies 5th with Tabone in 6th, Leon Penn in 7th, and Mike Paulich in 8th. John Derrick with that late improvement to 9th. Heitler rounding out the top 10. On row number 6 is Lewis Ward and Kieran Smart, followed by Florian Beer. You'll recognise their cars with the bright colourful livery, ahead of Hereford, Engel, Gribstad and Matthias Beer. Kurt Camilleri and Ronald Grossman are just ahead of Dennis Meisner, who brings up the rear of this 20-car grid.
Only 20 cars on the field tonight out of a possible 36. And as we said at the start, it's probably a godsend for some of the front runners in this and the mid-pack. So 36 on such a small track might produce too much carnage, but with 20 cars it should be nice and manageable, and I'm looking forward to plenty of action tonight, as obviously Bogdan Moldovan is in first place and Sven Newman in second. So the first and second in the championship are on the front row of the grid, so it should be a very interesting first corner. Obviously that inside line going down into the first corner is the vital one. I don't really want to be on the outside line going into that first corner, so I'd expect to see Bogdan maybe take it, and then just watch out for Satul coming through in that third place position. So be interesting to see how they line up after the first couple of corners going into this one. But one of the things obviously we haven't talked about, and we can talk about a bit more after the race started, Dave, is the tyre issue with this one. This track, I'd imagine, would be quite heavy on the tyres for this track. So, you know, will the guys have to change tyres? They probably won't, because they're pros and just stick it out, but that may cause a slight few issues coming into the later part of the races. So it'll be interesting to see on the pit strategies what they decide to do, whether it's just going to be fuel or whether they're going to take the tyres. I'll go with just take the fuel, but I think if I was personally driving, I'll probably end up taking the tyres, because I'm nowhere near the standard of these guys coming into this championship. That's why I couldn't get into it. As we watch them coming up on the outlap near. So the temperature of this track is normally really high. So that's another thing that the drivers have to continue, a really hot track that we always have here in Laguna Seca. As we come down the course we first time, and nearly had a slight bit of issue there coming down with one of the cars. It's a bit of a drop away, that corkscrew effect coming down there, so getting 2 cars wide into there will be very interesting during the race, as the pit cars should be going in just about now. Is it? No? Yes, there it goes. Look at that tight angle, as it's all down to Moldova now in first place to get this field underway. Sven Newman will be very much on his heels on the outside of the track, but like I say, watch the tool. And Moldova goes that early in the race and gets a slight little lead over Sven Newman going in, but the first two get away nice and neatly. It's the two in third place, Rich Kofenko in fourth. So it'll be interesting to see around this first corner if they all manage to stay alive and get around, as we see 2x2 going into the first corner to be expected. No real major changes within the grid. Leon Penn's up one position, Brandon Taboni down one, John Derrick is up to 8th now, up one, Lewis Ward up one. So the field's staying pretty much as they set off. So I'd imagine it'd be like a big parade lap around these first couple of laps just to get them tyres warmed.
Yeah, lovely clean start by the whole field there. This corner at Andretti often causes a little bit of sort of dive bombing up the inside. I know these are pros, but they're still prone to trying to do that late apex braking move to gain a couple of positions. But currently Moldovan controlling the field. He's not trying to stalk away on lap one. He's just keeping it all under control, making sure he gets through cleanly, because he will know that round this circuit, like other circuits like Zandvoort, it's not the easiest to overtake, especially in these big GT cars. So Moldovan comes round to lead the end of lap one ahead of Newman and Siutu. These drivers just keeping it nice and calm at the moment, as we can see a little bit battle further back with Engel and Gribstad, it looks like there. So the two drivers just fighting away in the Porsche, but I can't see, as he goes up the inside, Engel does, of Gribstad. Doesn't run him out wide, so Gribstad will take the inside line for turn 2, and Camilli will take the inside line and gain a position. So that was a nice opportunistic move by the guy who has actually made the most positions on the opening lap. He's up 2 places.
Yeah, so obviously just feeling the track out at the moment there, and as we saw the inside line there, Calamari and Gribstad obviously making full advantage of taking Engel on that corner, obviously getting slightly out of position. It's going to be very hard for the cars to pass here, and there's certain parts that we saw there. The first corner is an opportunity. Here at the corkscrew for the ever optimistic driver is another place that you can possibly do, and the last corner, turn 11, is probably the biggest overtaking places to do. You know, trying to get it round anywhere else is you're risking hitting the other car, or you're obviously risking going off the track. So, you know, it was absolutely critical to get that decent qualifying position to put yourself at the front of the grid, so then it's everybody else's opportunity to try and get past you on this very narrow track. And like you said, in these GTE cars that are exceptionally wide, certainly the BMW seem to be, as we look now with the top 3 are currently BMWs, and we have a Porsche, a Lambo and a Porsche. So a little mix of cars here in the top 5 of the grid, where they haven't changed positions, so the top 5 have stayed the same as qualifying.
Yeah, Chris Beats had to defend a little bit from Leon Penn on the opening lap, but seems to have controlled that gap to a point now. And these drivers will just settle in, just apply a little bit of pressure, see if early mistakes come before the drivers get too settled into a rhythm. And then, unlike some of the other circuits, strategy might really pay off around this track. If you think you got pace in clear air, get into the pits as soon as you can, realistically. Maybe even take the tyres, like we said before, because you could just have that extra pace in clear air. But these being pros, you know, like you said before, it's only an hour-long race, so the tyres will probably cost too much for the people at the front to take them. But somebody might just take a risk a little further back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's playing that risk of how much time can you gain from having your tyres to how it'd be interesting to see sort of mid-race what sort of times they're doing. So they're doing 1:21s at the moment. So we'll just try and keep an eye on that for mid-race and see what sort of lap times they're doing, to see if the tyres are actually starting to sort of scrub off a bit. But obviously the fuel will be going down in conjunction with that. So it'd be interesting to see, as we see Bogdan Moldovan in first place, just half a second ahead of Sven Newman, and Sutil half a second behind Newman at the moment. So, you know, the cars are still following around each other in the track, which is what we come to see in this championship in the first like 15 to 20 minutes of this race. And then it all gets mixed up when we start getting into the pit stop realm, and we see the cars sort of coming in at their different times and the different strategies that they had. And that's another interesting one there, because we've had different strategies for the past 3 rounds. Obviously we saw on Daytona the ones that pitted early and pitted really late, won out there. Pretty much neutralized in Interlagos, didn't really concern. And last round we had the mid-pack runners coming in around about 30 minutes were the ones that probably got the biggest advantage. So it'll be interesting to see what we see tonight, as we see Chris Beats trying to take Leon Penn and managed to get in the outside. So it'll be interesting to see if he can keep it. But Chris Penn obviously getting that Leon Penn is getting that inside line into turn 1. So although cars can get the pass done coming down to the first corner, if you've got that inside line, you normally be able to keep the place coming in there. So certainly a battle here for 5th place at the moment between Chris Beats and Leon Penn.
Yeah, we've seen Chris Beats defend quite well throughout the season so far. I think this is a really good run by Chris at the moment, up in 5th place, qualified well. And that Lamborghini just holding off the Porsche for now. Probably got a little bit more grunt in a straight line. But I'm quite impressed with Satu at the moment. He's still holding on to the front. He's about 2nd off the leader. And we're talking about Newman and Moldovan, who have just driven away from people on other circuits. So are they just trying to keep their tyres in check and everything at this early stage with a slightly heavier fuel load? Or is Satu basically doing such a brilliant job early on in this race?
It's like you say, everybody has their favourite track that they enjoy, and this may be one that Satu finds exceptionally good at racing. I don't know how much GT3 action he's had around here, but obviously driving around other cars, you certainly learn the lines, the quickest lines around this pretty short track. You know, you're on the power, you're off the power, you're on the power. So to get that vital exits coming out of the corner will gain you. And obviously, as we see now, Satul, you know, still keeping up with the front 2, which is good to see that the front 2 are just not running away with it, but Satul keeping them in check to a certain degree. And we've got Richard Kofenku currently in 4th. So then we have the big train behind with Leon Penn, Brandon DeBoni, Michael Pallich, John Derrick, Leon Ward, Hitala, and Kieran Smart, all the way down from 6th to 12th, just in a long line behind each other. So expect to see some movement coming on later on, but we've got this big long train at the moment, as we always do on the start of these races.
Top 3 here, just going into the final corner. Newman just under a little bit more pressure than Moldovan is. Very close between these 3, but they're not sort of running into the back of each other. I think they're more working together at this stage, knowing that they do have a number of drivers behind who could challenge at a later date. But looking at the field, with 10 seconds covering 14 drivers at the moment, that's not sort of good news for the leaders, because if they want to pit early for whatever reason, they can't. They'll get mithered in. I say the midfield, they're all very quick drivers, but if you get behind somebody who you can't pass as easily round here as other circuits, it's just not going to make your strategy work. As we look further back, this is 16th, the battle for 16th with Matthias Beer, Engel and Camilli, and these guys could come into play later on if they could just keep the distance to the leaders, but the leaders will be trying to pull away to come out just in front of, I mean, there's a 3-second gap just ahead of this group. So if they could come out in that would be really useful in terms of a strategy.
Yeah, definitely that. I'd be interested to see what the pit timing would be on this, because it is quite a long pit straight. It obviously is all the way down the first start-finish straight. Obviously, you turn into the pitch just before the last corner, go all the way down, and then you actually come out after the Andretti corner. So very long pit lane, and I imagine it'd probably take about I'd say close to 50 seconds to get into the pits, get fueled up, and then come out. So, you know, you would expect to see the drivers needing a decent gap to be able to come out in front of the back place, because obviously at the moment it's Dennis Miser, who's only 20 seconds off the current lead on that. So going on there. So just a quick shout out to one of our sponsors, Virtual Racing School. So if you want to improve your on-track performance, then visit virtualracingschool.com. They have over 50 data packs for road, oval and oval racing. They include setups, track guides, data analysis software that's second to none, and they also provide one-on-one coaching to improve that tenth of a second that we all seem to need on track to improve ourselves. So head over to virtualracingschool.com to see what they can offer you. So yeah, as we watch here, Matthias Beer coming up on the outside, coming up into the corkscrew over Calmeri. Be interesting to see if he can get it. He's got that inside line with Calmeri, cuts across him and manages to keep that. And that's probably one of the things with the corkscrew. If you try that too much, he's lost probably about half a second to a second coming into that, trying that move. So he's got it all to do again as we watch Florian Beer here in 13th place with Kieran Smart just on his back, just trying to get past him. But what is interesting is we've got the BMWs out front. I didn't think that they would be that good on this track. I thought the Porsches and the Lamborghinis would certainly be the cars to watch right here.
Yeah, the BMWs seems to be pretty good in a lot of circuits. I mean, we have I believe, a bit of a BOP change coming to the game tomorrow, so that may affect things in the whole championship, especially for, I believe, Porsche might be one of the cars that might get a bit of a tweak, but most of these are probably set up roughly right anyway. We're currently looking at the battle of Leon Penn and Brandon Tabone. And this queue of cars just goes back. It's a sort of bottom half of the top 10 at the moment. Back from Chris Beats down to about Lewis Ward, who's just hanging on at the back there. And this is the area of the drivers who might just take a risk if they think they've got the pace to get higher up, especially behind Chris Beats, who has been defended since the start of this race. But they might just take a risk on an early pit stop and push forward. But they're still in sight of these top three. There's no pulling away. But these guys are currently 5 seconds? Yes, 5 seconds off the lead, which is nothing at the moment. And going back to what you said about the pit stops time, it's so difficult to get this right. There's a little sort of almost a chicane as you come into the pits with a very sharp left-hander. You've got to get the speed down, get the limiter on, through the pit lane, and then it's an just as tight exit, because you've got a full length for Andretti to get round, but it's about the width of a car, maybe even less for the bigger cars, and it's so easy to spin on that exit.
Yeah, definitely. And I think BC Gaming on our YouTube chat agrees with you, Dave, saying obviously Porsche drivers enjoy it while you can. The BOP coming tomorrow, laugh out loud. So I think BC Gaming obviously agrees with you. Maybe it's going the other way, BC. I don't know if they're getting a severe bot, because the BMW seems like it needs it. It seems to be very much the car of choice. Everybody seems to be driving the BMW, and we've had some changes in this championship after a couple of rounds with people changing over to the BMW. So it'll be very interesting to see how the cars lie after the update for tomorrow. So that's good, yeah.
Currently looking at Brandon Tabone, he's in the middle of his pattern. So he's all seem quite comfortable at the moment. Nobody seems to be pushing too hard, keeping the tyres in check. Looking at the front, the top three still covered by 1.2, so that gap hasn't stretched out at all. He's not being dropped at the back. But the whole field's still only covered by 25 seconds. So, like we said with pit stop time, at the moment it's really not going to sort of affect things at the moment. The leaders will come in, probably have about 10-15 seconds to the back of the grid if they come in in the next sort of 15, 20 minutes. So we'll just have to see whether mistakes start happening, cars start spinning, and then they will get in the way when people make their pit stops.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like we got a fan for Dennis Meinsler on the chat, or Frosty Bird. So trying to rile up our Dennis Meiser, who's currently in 19th place at the moment, about 6 seconds off Matthias Beer, so not having the best start to the race, but there's still plenty of time to go in this race. And you know, at the end of the day, you know, you're going to have different standards of driving even within this championship. And you know, one of the big things for me about iRacing is the taking part and having the enjoyment of the race. You know, I know I'm not going to go into a championship and win it, but you know, it's when you come out of the championship, and that's one thing I really enjoy about these league racing is during normal iRacing you get the optimistic yeeters, the people that just hit into you and move off, but the driving is on the whole, I'll say on the whole, 100 times better than the normal iRacing series that you have, and that's a good indication to, you know, how quick you are really around track when you're racing competitively with other drivers around you. So, you know, that's one of the good things about these leagues, is that you can really test yourself to see how good you are, or how much improvement you still need to make to get yourself up there. But as long as you enjoy it, that's the main thing. As we see Dennis Meiser unfortunately going down to 20th place at the moment, so having a bit of a battle with Grossman in 19th place.
And while we're on the subject of Grossman, I've just had a look at the championship table. We have 20 cars in tonight's race. His PB for the season is 2/19ths. So at the time we were talking before, I was just thinking he's in the one position not to match or better his PB for the season in 20th, but now he's back up into 19th and fighting to try and at least match that PB he has for the season. Currently, the gap is coming down slightly at the front. Satu is closing back in on the leaders after taking a little bit of a breather for a couple of laps. I haven't seen any battling between them at this time, but these three certainly showing how to drive around this track, using every inch, every curb, but not touching the grass. The grass, there's no grass around Laguna Seca, it's all sand. As you can see, it being pulled onto the track as well, which makes it just dirty offline, which is also part of this problem in terms of overtaking. You can see it there, black marks where the cars have been going around in qualifying and practice. And then the outside line, which is all dusty and dirty, and that'll just get stuck to your tyres for a few corners, and you'll probably end up losing your position back anyway.
Yeah, so these top three drivers doing probably the perfect thing here, not fighting each other, just following on in the strip stream, and they're actually pulling out a gap now over Richard Kafenko in 4th place of 2 seconds. So, you know, these three drivers are doing it exactly right and not battling it out to bring the rest of the field back on them. They're doing it perfectly well, working together to get away. So we've got Richard Kafenko, who's in a bit of a no man's land at the moment, about 2 seconds off 3rd place, and then about 2.5 seconds behind Chris Beats in 5th place. So Richard Kafenko just in that little bit of no man's land, but for him it'd be probably good, because he doesn't have to worry about anybody behind him, and he can just cut his lines that he wants to cut in the race in front of him without a car impeding him. So he's probably in the ideal position at the moment where he wants to be, fresh air in front and fresh air behind. But certainly the battle at the moment seems to be over that 5th place. We've got Chris Beats, Leon Penn currently neck and neck, about half a second behind each other. Brandon Taboni is about 2 seconds behind Leon Penn. Then we have Marko Palic, who's literally just behind him. So we've got these little pockets of gaps appearing now, and these little on-field battles between 2 or 3 cars starting to materialise, as we would expect, sort of 20 minutes into this race now.
Yeah, little pockets of battles which could and normally do form a bigger battle towards the end of the race. And a little bit further ahead, John Derrick is really starting to want to get a move on. He's all over Mike Paulich and keeps having these half looks. He's having a look here up the inside into Andretti. Paulich sees him coming and turns out to the way, and that was John Derrick saying, I need to go, I have to go now, because Brandon Tabone is disappearing up the road. We saw Pawlic have a bit of a mistake in qualifying, have to hit the wall, but we've now got John Derrick up into 8th place, and the winner from Montreal is now starting to make his move in the Lamborghini to try and score another big points haul for his championship.
Yeah, definitely. That was really good driving there from Pawlic. Pawlic could have turned into him there on the Andretti corner and took them both out, but obviously gave him the room, took himself off a little bit of line, but only lost the one position. He still gives opportunity fight. As we see here now, 2x2 coming around turn 6, going up Rainer Straight, and it would have compromised the speed, as we can now see Beer getting right onto the back of them, because these two are fighting, so they're going to compromise the line. A bit of a touch there going down into the corkscrew, which might give Matthias Beer the inside line on. Unfortunately, doesn't quite get it done on that, but Matthias Beer now is right behind these two and just waiting for them to start playing elbow games again, and I think he'll be able to do a 2-car pass coming down here. And I think, you know, with the flashing lights there as well, he's getting a little bit frustrated, so you might need to sort of calm it a little bit down, because obviously you get that red mist and you overextend yourself, as we might see a bit of a move down here in the first corner. No, he calms down like the pro he is, and obviously just tucks in behind him. So these three massively battling it out here. We got Dominic Engel, Kurt Kamari, and Matthias Beer, as we watch back to our leader, still only 0.3 of a second over Newman, and 1 second ahead of Satul. So these three are starting to move slightly further away from the field now. 4 seconds ahead of 4th place Richard Kafencu at the moment. So these three pulling away and you know, being quite nice to each other, really, I think, at the moment, we can say.
Yeah, that, just going back to that side-by-side action, that was mightily impressive by those two drivers. Again, as we mentioned before, turn 6 is difficult enough when it's by yourself. Going side-by-side and not touching each other all the way up to the corkscrew, that was fast driving by both of them. And by Matthias Beer, not to just try and take both at once and end up in a huge accident. That's the difference that we're talking about between a league and the general iRacing lobbies that you can enter. Be honest, in an iRacing lobby, Matthias Beer there would have just probably dived up the inside and you would have had a multi-car pileup. But Matthias Beer, using his head, realising that's not the time to go, and there wasn't really anywhere for him to go, as the top two are now starting to just push away from 3rd place slightly, just leaving him slightly behind. But these two matched on, even on fastest lap. Actually, the top three, the fastest laps are 21.77, 21.75, and 21.77 again. So these three absolutely matched for pace.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, Satul just needs to make sure that he tries to keep onto the tailgate of Sven Newman to not lose that draft, because that's going to be vital around here. Although it may not be as much as other tracks, you're still going to certainly get the draft. And with the two fast guys at the front, Satul just wants to make sure that he keeps onto the tailgate, since we currently watch Kieran Smart batting it out with Otto Hertala, Finland, in 10th place. So a big battle here as we got our first pit stop of the night from Ostan Herford, who is trying to do the super early undercut here.
Yeah, it seems a little bit early, maybe 1 or 2 laps early for that, as we see Grossman rejoining the circuit, and he is now in the only position that doesn't improve his PB for the season. It was just on the penultimate corner by the looks of it. Oh no, we're one before that, just after a corkscrew, catches the sand, and that is what can happen to you, and you get pitched off and there's no slowing down from there. Looks like he might have some damage from hitting the wall. But yeah, an early pit stop there for who was it? Sorry, it was Herford. Yes, going for the early stop. It could work if he feels he's got the pace over people in front. But I'm just trying to work out. He was in 14th at the time. So let's see where he comes out when the pit stops shake out, and see if that early strategy does really make the difference.
Yeah, so we would imagine the rest of the field to be coming in around about 10 to 15 minutes time. We'll get the majority of the field coming in as we sort of see Satul still trying to battle it out lap, so loses a little bit, gains a little bit back, but his last lap he got 0.8 of a second, so sort of getting left off the front two runners of Moldan and Sven Newman out in front at the moment. So Satul just backing off a little bit, still about 3 seconds ahead of Richard Kofenku, but Richard will obviously see that now that he's sort of lost the tailgates of the front two runners, and we'll charge him back up as we see Lewis Ward going in, Matthias Beer coming in. So these ones all trying to do the early undercut on there. So we'll see how after the round of pit stops how that all plays out for the guys. But you know, I can understand Matthias Beer. Obviously, he was caught up behind the two drivers and probably felt that he was a little bit faster. So getting that early pit stop will get him in clean air coming out, and will be interesting to see the sort of lap times that they'll be doing as they come out of the pit. So Herford's actually managed to get in front of the Beer at the moment. Lewis Ward is currently in 18th place. So not long now before we see the majority of the field coming in for the mid-range pit stops, and we'll see what the field looks like after that.
Yeah, Lewis Ward pitted from P13, so I feel that was a reaction to Hereford's stop, who was in P14 at the time. This battle, as we previously saw, for 5th place with Chris Beats, Leon Penn just looking a little impatient behind him now, and I'm surprised I haven't seen him just take that chance, because they're still in touch with Gavenku, and that 4th place is still up for grabs at the moment as we continue to watch Kieran Smart, who is trying to get past Hertlier for the top 10. And Kieran, we've seen some pace from him this year, just every now, you know, in flashes, but it hasn't really put that result together. Just having a look, his best so far, if I can scroll across the website,
it's 122.24 is his best time, so not too far off the front runners.
Kieran Smart's best position in a race is 15th places at the moment, so he's on for a PB, and if he can get up into the top 10, it will certainly boost his title chances. But we're back at the front, these two matching all the way, tenths of a second between them, and this is why these two are top of the championship at the moment. There's been no contacting, they're running within 2 tenths of each other throughout the race, but we have had a new fastest lap of race by Gavenku in 4th place. I'll be honest, that is a 10th quicker than the leaders in terms of fastest pace, and gained him about 4 tenths on that last lap. So if he keeps that up, he will be up in that battle for the lead by the pit stop. So pretty impressive there by Gavenku at 121.66.
Yeah, on the charge now, has got Satul in his sights for 3rd place. You can see that he's lost the slipstream of the 2nd place car. And is really making a push on, and like you say, if he keeps up them time, he'll be on the back of him pretty quickly, as we watch Leon Penn currently in 6th place with Chris Beats just in front of him. So these two still battling out, but Chris Beats at the moment looks like he's got the beating of Leon Penn at the moment, just slightly keeping that gap, keeping him at arm's length, and not giving him the full effect of that slipstream. But I think this front two here, I think it's going to come down to the pit stops, you know, Dave. You know, we've seen in previous that Sven Newman seems to take a second longer than the rest of the front runners. So if he does that tonight, that'll give Moldovan the emphasis to have that little bit of a gap. So I think it's all going to come down to the pit stop, because these two are matching the pace of each other lap after lap. So I think that's where this race is going to be won and losses in the pit stops.
Completely agree, but around Laguna Seca there could be that odd mistake. We have seen, I think, both drivers about once this season facing the wrong way or making a major mistake which drops them down a few positions, whether it be a slowdown or anything like that. But around this circuit, the sand, as I keep saying, it just dragged you in. luckily these guys have been staying on the racing line. See, taking the curve, they take these risks knowing that they're pretty much in control of it, and that's why they are the pro drivers. If we had done that, we would have been touching the sand and off into the kitty litter and probably the wall at times. So this is why you are watching 20 of the pro drivers for this championship. We keep saying it on every event. There will be an amateur championship after the pro series has finished, but then even them drivers won't be complete amateurs. They'll be very quick. So that would be a great championship to watch as well.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, as we have enough here, Otto Herzler, unfortunately himself and Kieran Smart was having that really good battles. To see what happened to him coming down the corkscrews. He probably just took the grass a little, no, the grass. I'm saying like you do, Dave. The
Too
sand,
easy.
the sand. Oh, no, it's mid-track. It's a very strange place to spin out there. Dennis, I wonder if you could put up the temperature of the track, if we could see what the current temperature of the track is, because you know we're looking at 102 degrees Fahrenheit, so a really warm track, and this will be playing havoc with the guys' tires at the moment. 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So the track temperature 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Obviously, I normally deal in Celsius, but I know that is rather warm, and that'll be playing havoc on these guys' tires. And that's where we were saying at the start, you know, are these tires going to be any sort of state towards the end of this race, being at that temperature, and being that this is a tight track where you're going from high speed to low speed for corners, then getting back up to high speed. So we're gonna, it'd be interesting to see at the end of the race what happens. But I'm almost certain that nobody will take tires, so we might have a few slight incidents towards the end of this race. But certainly looking at the front two at the moment, you know, again matching each other, 0.3 of a second. I think that's probably been the gap for the entire 31 minutes that we've currently been racing in this race. Just a quick shout out to all you guys on YouTube that are currently following us and watching us. If you like what you are seeing tonight, then please do subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up for this event. And then you get notifications for all our other events here on Apex Racing TV. We pretty much cover everything from MX5 Formula Vs all the way up to the Formula 2s on here on iRacing. So every car in between is catered for here on Apex Racing TV. So please give us a subscribe, a like on the video, and you will get notifications on that little bell to next time we go live, and you won't miss a little bit of the action on here. So if you do fancy as well to get involved with some of these league racing, then please head over to apexracingleague.com, where you can see all the different championships that we've got coming up. So we do on Mondays currently Formula V with an MX5 after that. Tuesdays is currently this series, the Pro. The next series will be the AM Championships. On the Wednesday we have, what do we have on Wednesday actually? Oh, we're going to have the Radicals actually. We just got round 2 of the Radicals coming up this week. In fact, it's not this week, it's a down week because of week 13. Next week is round 2 of the Radicals. Thursdays is NASCAR's. Fridays currently is the Super Trucks, with the following series, which is open for invites, which is the Porsche Cup, the brand new Porsche that iRacing are released. We're going to have a 9-round series in that, in heat formats, coming up towards the 17th of September, I believe. Saturdays we've got currently F3 with a Formula 2 for that, and then on Sundays we have the GT3 Championship. So pretty much caters for everyone, guys. So give us that like, give us that subscribe, and get that bell, and there'll be plenty of series that you can watch here on Apex Racing TV. As we currently watch here, Brandon Taboni in 7th place with John Derrick just behind him now. So like you were saying earlier on, John Derrick seems to have sort of found his pace again. After a 9th place start off the grid, is starting to try and get himself back up the field.
Yeah, he's starting to push on. We've got Leon Penn into the pits. He could do a technical drawing of the rear of Chris Beats's Lamborghini after this race. He's been stuck behind him for the full 34 minutes and 25 seconds. and he's now headed into the pits because he's fed up of seeing the back of that Lamborghini and hoping just to do that undercut. So he comes into the pit, stops at his pit garage. We've currently got Engel as well pitting, so let's just see where Penn comes out. He might, I think he's going to drop down to about 12th place, but he will get out, should get out in front of all the previous pit stop people. There he goes, out into the pit lane. 17.7.
Stop time there, so yeah, about 55 seconds, isn't it, the pit stop?
Yeah, and here's the tight exit that I was on about. It's so tight. I mean, it doesn't look it from that view, but when you go on board with a car through that exit, when you're driving, you just don't know whether you're touching with sand or not. It's just probably the tightest pit lane exit I know on the game. As we see, Moldovan has headed for the pit lane, so this is crucial for the race lead as Newman continues. Titan and Gafincu and Beats has reacted to Penn as well, so it's all go now. John Derrick is in the pits as Tabone carries on, so everybody heading for pit lane now. Gribstad also in, so this is about time everybody has planned to pit.
It'll be interesting to see Sven Newman's time in this lap. He needs to have a really good lap to try and give him that slingshot over Moldovan in 4th place. So I wonder if you can see what his pit time, 17.2 seconds stationary in a pit for Moldovan, 17 seconds for Satil, 18.1 for Gafencu. So a little bit of a longer stop, so taking that little bit extra fuel, and yeah, it's all down to here. Now this should pay, depending on how far Sven can go into this race, whether a couple more laps or if he's going to come in this lap. You know, his stop time should be a lot less because he will have to take on a lot less fuel to get him to the end of the race. So it's so critical that he gets this flying lap. So it'll be interesting to see his lap time on this lap. So his fastest so far has been a 1:21.74. If he's anywhere around that, it'll put him in good stead for taking the lead as we see him come into the pit. So just that one extra lap over here. So it'll be interesting to see how long he's stationary for and where he comes out, reference to Moldovan.
Yeah, looking a little bit further downfield in 7th place, Leon Penn has finally jumped Chris Beats. So it worked for him in the pits. The top 3 all in, Tabone, Newman and Smart. So we're just going to wait and see. Newman right near the end of the pit lane. So might not even need the limiter when he's coming out, which will be an advantage to him. But we will see. He's in the pits. There is Moldovan coming through final corner. And I think Moldovan is going to retake the lead by quite a distance by the look of that. Oh, Newman's coming out now. He's got the tightest line and the gap is going to be a lot bigger than it was originally. Tighter line for Newman through the pit lane. But I think Moldovan has put in a brilliant outlap of 1:44.7. So we'll see what Newman's is. But the gap is out over a second now. So that's about a 7/10 improvement for Moldovan.
7/10, but it's still minimal, and obviously Sven Newman is still right on the tailcoats of Moldovan, and probably will actually close that up with the slight slipstream you would get sort of down the start-finish straight. So this battle at the moment is round 1 to Moldovan for the pit stop strategies, getting that 1 second in. He needs to try and keep it there, but this is the problem now. Sven will have to try and push it to close down that gap, and this is where we might see slight issues and slight off tracks from Sven as he's trying to really push it on to try and close down that 1.1 second gap. We've got Satil, who's currently in 3rd place at the moment with Richard Kafencu right on his tailpipe with Leon Penn and, like you say, Chris Beats in 6th place. So, you know, the winners out of that round of pit stop are certainly Leon Penn, jump in, Chris Beats, everybody else pretty much keeping positions where they have. But you know, one person to look at is John Derrick. I mean, look how much he's closed up the gap now. He's right on the back of Chris Beats' car, Lamborghini. So a Lambo versus a Lambo, pretty much even car, but it'll all be down to the setup. So one thing we haven't talked about tonight is what sort of setup the guys have gone for. Have they gone for a heavy downforce, or like every other pro that goes on there trying to minimise the downforce they've got? As we see him try to get up on that inside, but unfortunately Chris Beats closes the door on him, but John Derek is itching to get past Chris Beats at the moment to take that 6th place.
Yeah, a slight mistake there by Beats through that corner, and this is going to give Derek the inside into here, and a late braking move by Derek. A little bit of a touch for Beats, but Beats continues on just behind, and he'll be under pressure from Bone, who Derek jumped in the pit stop. So Derek is the man on the move at the moment, up 3 positions from his grid position, and he won the last time out in Montreal with a strong drive through the field. I can't remember him. He certainly wasn't on pole position. So he had to put in a strong drive to win that one. And he's the one on the move, making the moves around this tight and twisty circuit. Going back to the point about the setup, being pros, they will probably run low downforce. If it was me personally, I'd be looking for speed in the corners. So quite a heavy downforce setup, especially through the corkscrew and these long corners. You just want to keep a high apex speed and try and keep on the throttle as long as you can, because it's all about drive through the corners, through the apex, and onto whichever short straight you've got next, so you haven't got much time to catch up.
Yeah, definitely. Just another quick shout out from one of our sponsors. So the wonderful overlay that we currently see on screen has been kindly given to us by SDK Gaming. They have a live HUD to iRacing showing timing towers, enhanced relative boxes, mini maps, fuel calculators, battle boxes, and many more. There's probably endless combinations you can do with this setup. And also, if you are streaming on any of the streaming platforms, it's amazing to do, and it enables us as production to be able to do and give you the commentary that we can do, because we are all linked onto the same set of cameras by our wonderful production manager Dennis Branch, who's given us these wonderful players. So head over to stkgaming.co.uk, and I believe you actually get a 14-day free trial to try it out, but highly recommend it. It gives you wonderful graphics on the screen, and obviously it will enhance your racing. So head over to stkgaming.co.uk. So as we see here, Sven Newman's actually caught up that gap here on Moldovan's 0.2 back to 0.3 of a second. So as we were for the first 35 minutes of this race. So be interested to see now what the last 18 minutes of this race will throw out. But these two out the front have been a class of their own, literally matching each other's pace lap after lap after lap. Like you were saying before with I think it was, I forgot who it was who was following Chris Beats, I think it was Leon Penn, is that Sven Newman could probably pinpoint every single scratch and bump on the back of Moldovan's car, considering he's been following him for this entire race.
Yeah, he's been glued to the back. There was me saying he lost 7 tenths in the pit stop phase of the race, and he's gained 7 tenths back over the last 2 laps. So Sven Newman certainly on the move, and don't rule out Kavenku and Satu right behind. They're not that far behind. Here they are across the stripe. Kavenku closing in on 3rd place now. These 4 cars all covered by 6 seconds and all running a very similar pace. Moldovan actually reacted that time by with a 21.9 compared to a 22.3 by Newman. So it's just toing and throwing at the moment. And if I was Sven Newman, if I get to the back of Moldovan, you've got to have a go, and you've got to have a go quick. So we've seen how much you just get drawn into the pace of the car in front, and even if you're going to catch them, you just get sort of stuck. John Derrick is the only guy we've really seen not get stuck and really push on from about 20 minutes on in this race. So in the last 23 minutes or so, he's really pushed on, and he's now only 2 seconds behind Leon Penn for 5th place.
Yeah, definitely. We can see sort of on the timing tower, there's little gaps between each one of the drivers. The probably closest fight at the moment on track is between Marko Palic, Leon Ward that we're seeing on screen, and Grimstad. So, you know, the top 8 have got probably about a second and a half between each of the cars at the moment. But this it certainly seems to be the battle on track at the moment, as we're watching Lewis Ward trying to get up to the back of Marko Paulic. And Grimstad is not far behind them. So we've got a 3-car battle here, which it seems to be the closest battle currently on track.
Yeah, Paulic will be a little bit disappointed with this. He was up in 4th in qualifying at one stage and is now just trying to hold on to a top 10 position. He's got Ward and Grimstad behind, and then the gap behind there is back to Italia, the Finnish driver who we saw off the circuit earlier on. So he's running by himself there as he runs into the Andretti with the Gulf coloured Porsche. I think we all love that livery, whoever runs it, whenever it runs, whether it's on a Porsche or anything else. But we also have Grossman back in the pits. So Grossman might be the first driver to go a lap down without an incident. Florian Beer is 2 laps down, but I think he's been to the pits a couple of times and had repairs to his car. So the 2 leaders just coming round into the final corner to knock off another lap, half a second between them. And this is what I meant by Newman catching and then just getting sort of stuck in the same sort of rhythm. He doesn't seem to want to move out and distract Moldovan in the mirrors or anything like that. He just seems very happy following him at this stage, which I would be starting to distract him. Moldovan's got into a rhythm now. It's 45 minutes into this race, less than 15 minutes to go. And he'll be in his rhythm. He'll know where to hit his apexes of that. And he's had Newman behind him. Newman hasn't really been having a go. So you need to start moving him offline and setting him up for an overtake at some point in this next 15 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. Can agree more with you there. It's fair enough. I think it's probably biding his time, but you know, these two are evenly matched on this track at the moment. You know, and it's hard to see where that overtake is going to take place. They're both in the BMW, so there's no sort of advantage as we saw slightly earlier on with I forgot who it was, the Porsche and the BMW coming down into turn 1. How quick that Porsche got onto the back of the BMW. But we're not going to have that here because they're in exactly the same car. I'd imagine very similar setups because they're running such close timings on there. And what may pay into them, as we see just in front here, is the back markers now may come into the frame of winning or losing this race. So hopefully not, because I'm really enjoying watching these two literally just nose to tail all the way around, matching each other for pace on pace. So the last lap was a 1:21.9 for Moldovan and 1:22.1 for Sven Newman. So they're like tenths of a second off each lap, and it's quite amazing after, like say, 47 minutes of racing, 12 minutes left to go on this. In fact, this was it. It was Leon Wardman on Paulic to see them Porsches coming up. So nice to remind you there, Dennis. Thank you very much. So, you know, we can see these 2 Porsches right on the back now of Marko Paulic. So, you know, and like you said, mate, he seems to have had a bit of a terrible round this one, Marko Paulic, just slowly moving down the field, sort of almost getting... Oh, as we see an error there from Bogdan Monovan coming into the corkscrew. So it'll be interesting to see there. Obviously overextended it coming up, and did he take the wrong line, or... No, or because Sven Newman giving a little bit of flash, and Bogdan just went in that little bit too deep, and that might be a slowdown as well. I think you do get a slowdown off there. So Sven Newman now takes over the lead of this race, and Bogdan unfortunately went into that corner slight a bit too hard, and currently 1.4 seconds behind Sven Newman. So it'd be terrible if his race lost the race on that one incident. So he's got a mountain to climb now.
Yeah, I think I don't know if we can see an on board with Moldovan into that corner, but I think he went slightly tight on the turn in. He seemed to be slightly offline, and I think that just got him a little bit dirty on the tyres. Here we go. He goes up the hill, and every lap he's been going fully right onto the curb, hits the curb there and then goes tight in. He already knows he's made a mistake very early on, and it's just all about keeping it out the barrier, because the barrier's very close there with the wall. But disappointment for Moldovan, who had done a great job until then, but that little bit of pressure from Newman just made Moldovan defend slightly onto the dirty line and off the track.
Yeah, so Sven Newman currently out in lead, 1.5 second over a slight mistake coming down the corkscrew on 2 laps ago from Moldovan. So he's got a mountain to climb, only 11 minutes back, and these two guys pretty much matching each other's pace to the 10th of a second. So it'll be a tall order for him to try and gain back that amount of place. So I think the battle at the moment certainly seems to be with third. So Richard Gafencu has had a storming couple of last laps. And has managed to get on the back of Satu in third place. So certainly the battle on track at the moment is for that third place position. So Richard Gafencu just seems to be getting better and better as this race goes on. So the last lap was a 1:22 dead for Richard Gafencu, and for Satul it was a 1:22.5. So half a second ahead on the last lap, as we can see there on the last 5 laps. You know, steadily gaining back time over Satul. So Satul will be seeing that Gafencu will be chasing him hard in fourth place to try and get that third place and get that podium for Richard Gafencu, which will be his best position so far in his championship, I believe.
Yes, it will be. He's currently, just having a look at it now, he's currently had a 10th, 11th and a 13th. So this is easily his best run so far. And Gafencu, who will overtake Paulich with this result, as we got a battle here with Lewis Ward trying to go round Paulich around the outside of the corkscrew. I don't know if Lewis has ever been told, but that doesn't work, my friend. You cannot go around the outside of a corkscrew. You will be in the kitty litter before you even know it. He is currently scratching away at the back of Paulich's car, and Paulich doing a good job to hold on. He's had these two as Gribstad dives to the inside on final corner and through past Lewis Ward, caught him napping, too busy watching Paulich, and he's lost a position to the Norwegian, and Gribstad is up into 11th place, and possibly one of the best runs we've seen from Gribstad so far this year, as Lewis Ward tries to go back.
So I think exactly that. Lewis just got caught napping there coming around the last corner, and Gribstad, you know, took his opportunity when he could. Was sat there behind the third in this train of cars, just sat there biding his time, and Lewis gave him a slight door open in ajar, and Gribstad obviously took it with both hands and managed to make that stick. But Lewis wasn't exactly too happy with that, trying to get back down into the first corner, but you know, luckily, and getting rid of that red mist just in time, backing out before he actually slid into Gribstad. So real heated battle here now, as we see Richard Gafencu getting onto the back of Satil. So this is going to be a real battle now for the last 8 minutes. So probably about another 5-6 laps of this race to go to get it done. But lap after lap, he's been a lot faster. So I think Satil's days may be numbered coming into this last 8 minutes of this race. And I think Richard Gafencu can smell the blood and the fear from the car in third place at the moment, who's pretty much been there the whole of this race on his own. So it's going to be a bit new for him to come into the last 8 minutes and have a car right on his tail.
Yeah, Gafencu's really closed this gap. I apologise to Gribstad. He's actually had 2 top 10s already this year, but Gafencu going to the outside already. Satou very slow off that corner for some reason, and he's now got Gafencu all over him. Gafencu going to the outside again, onto the gravel, isn't going to make it around the outside of turn 6, and for third place, if anybody did let you through, you may as well retire. And here we go, down into the corkscrew. No change for position there. Gafencu just trying to move Satou off the racing line, get his tyres dirty, set him up 2 or 3 corners before, and he might get a run, but he's just got a bit of gap, a big wobble through that corner just there, and he just needs to close that gap down, maybe calm down a little bit as he runs wide there. He's just putting a bit too much pressure on himself now. He's pushed, closed the gap, and now don't feel like you've got to make the move right this second. It's only 6 minutes to go. You will get that chance.
Yeah, as we saw Satul getting it all bent out of shape going round turn 5, which obviously gave the big run for Gafenku coming around turn 5. And as we saw him going up the hill on that, he was literally probably had to back off, or else he would have gone into the back of Satil. And then obviously that gave the 2x2 boy going into 6th. But Rich Gafenku obviously decided to back out of that, which is probably a wise move on that. But like you were saying, he's pushing it a bit too far, as we can see towards the end of that last lap. He was getting all bent out of shape going offline, so just needs to get his composure back and get onto the back. He's certainly faster than Satul, but he just needs to bide his time, as we currently back with the battle for 10th place with Palic, Gribstad and Ward. So Gribstad managed to keep that place over Lewis Ward at the moment, but he could throw a blanket over these 3 cars. So fantastic racing from these 3 in the last 5 minutes. So whoever gets this top 10 position will have deserved it tonight.
Certainly, these 3 have been pushing throughout the race. Gribstad really pushing Pawlic along now, almost running into the back of him there. After making moves earlier on, John Derrick is slowly slipping back into Chris Beats's clutches for 6th place, which means Chris Beats might actually be on the attack instead of having to defend like he has for most of the race. Leon Penn all by himself in 5th place, and then that battle for 3rd place. But as you say, we'll continue watching this battle for 10th place. Lewis Ward just on the back of it, so it's 2 Porsches and 1 BMW. But they're not going to close on Kieran Smart at this time, so it is just between these 3 all by themselves to try and get a top 10 onto their championship score.
Yeah, definitely. So, looking at where we will look for tyre wear on this championship, so the lap timings are pretty much the same as what they started. So the last lap for Sven Newman, a 121.9, and Bogdan Malovic 122.10. So, still staying within that, so that you can sort of see now that the car's sort of sliding a little bit more on track. So definitely got the tyre wear within there, but these guys are still managing to keep the fast pace and pushing it to the limits of the trackability, as we see now Rich Gafenku getting onto the back of Satil once more. So it'd be interesting to see if he makes that move. If he can get a really good exit out of this corner, he'll probably get him under the braking going down into turn 1. So I think he's a little bit too far back to try and do it on this lap, but he just needs to try and get that good exit out of the last corner to get him right onto the back of him, because we know that the Porsche can brake slightly later than the BMWs, which will pay the advantage to try and get it past. So just a quick shout out to our last sponsor, Apex Racing Academy. So they currently have 29 data packs, including setups, track guides, fully integrated with the VRS system, weekly group coaching sessions, plus many more. Please head over to apexracingac.com to find out more, and they also give a 14-day free trial, I believe. So head over to them to improve your racing, and you can get with these guys. And you see Richard Gafenku going on outside of the corkscrew. We'll have given the inside line. I think he'll get it done this time, but it's going to be a bit of rubbing down there as he just get it through. And great move down there into the corkscrew, both of them giving each other enough space. So Gafenku takes that 3rd place off Satilla. I think it was only a matter of time that he was going to do that, but now he needs to consolidate this position, because Satul will not give up this battle without a fight. But I think one person who has given up the battle is Bogdan Moldovan. He is currently 5.8 seconds behind Sven Newman, so I think his tyres have probably gone a bit too worse for wear, but currently 6 seconds off Sven Newman, and there's no stopping this guy at the moment. Once he gets that sniff of that 1st place lead, he gets out there as we join the battle again. As we see Lewis Ward getting past Grimstad for 11th place. So again, the positions change between the Porsches behind, but Michael Palic is still staying, keeping his nose out in front. As we see here, the Porsche getting right onto the back of the BMW into turn 1, and that's where we're on about that extra little bit of braking that the Porsche has over the BMWs.
Bravo, Richard Gafenku. I've been saying you don't go around the outside of the corkscrew, and what does he go and do? He puts me out of a job. What a move that was around the outside of the corkscrew. We're going to see it again here. He got a brilliant run out the corner, Satu just goes defensive. It's all he can do. Maybe break a little bit later and just force Gruenku wide, but he keeps it clean. Little touch in the middle of the corkscrew, and he's through. And just that was probably the move of the race, I'd think, so far. As Lewis Ward tries to do the same to Pawlic. Pawlic running in deep. Here comes Gribstad, who gets back past Ward, and these two swapping positions like nobody's business. And I'm not sure Michael Pawlic actually knows which one he's battling at times, because he's just got the headlights of the Porsches behind, as we should be. Are we on the close to the last lap now? As all into the final corner, Dig Gribstad. So he's into the 10th place, but that battle will continue down to turn 1, as you can see. Pawlic fighting back in the BMW, which just does that little bit more grunt. But will Gribstad try and hold it around the outside? Will Lewis Ward have a dig in here? Gribstad trying to hold it, and Pawlic back up into 10th. That's impressive by the German after he's had to battle all the way through, and these three will be going all the way to the line.
Yeah, we certainly saw on the first one Richard Kofenko how to do it down the corkscrew, and then we saw Lewis Ward and obviously Michael Pawlic not how to do it around the corkscrew. Luckily, Michael Pawlic managed to keep it on track going down the corkscrew, keep it on the track, but, you know, all bent all out of shape between these. But, you know, one driver that has been, again, outstanding today is Sven Newman, who is 9.8 seconds ahead of Moldovan in second place. So he takes his second win of the championship at the moment. So the first, the second, and the first. So, you know, extending his lead slightly over, but obviously don't take it away from Moldovan. He's had an exceptional race for 55 minutes himself, and Sven Newman were battling it out, and Richard Kofenko getting his best position of the race, a third, with an outstanding move down the corkscrew So Tool's come down all the way to 9th, so something's happened to Tool on that last lap.
Yeah, his lap time was a 1:38.2. That's about 16 seconds off the pace. And Satu, who has had an outstanding drive, maybe got distracted by the great overtake of Kofenko, but he has fallen down to 9th and will be gutted at that. That is 59 minutes of pure racing, and he's just dropped back for whatever reason. So, yeah, unfortunate there for Satu, but the top three all definitely deserve their podiums.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I need to take my breath after that race. As we saw, you know, these races, the start of the race is like a procession, really, for the first 20 minutes. And then after that, that's when all the action starts kicking off. After about 20 minutes, you start getting these little pockets of battles and everything like that. So, you know, the last 10 minutes of that race, we saw changes of positions and obviously last lap incidents. So just to give us all a break, we're just going to quickly go to an advert from one of our sponsors. So we'll be back here shortly on Apex Racing TV.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Real Falla.
And Real Falla is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Picanifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong,
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
and many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Hello and welcome back to Apex Racing TV, and you just saw 2 adverts from 2 of our sponsors, Virtual Racing School and Apex Racing Academy. If you fancy any of them, head over to apexracingac.com for Apex Racing Academy and virtualracingschool.com for Virtual Racing School. So wow, what an exciting race here in round 4 of the GT Pro Series trophy. As we see the race results. So first place, Sven Newman, 10 seconds ahead of Bogdan Moldovan, but that doesn't tell the story of the race. 55 minutes, literally nose to tail on each other. Rick Jukafenko is best place so far in 3rd place, Leon Penn 4th, John Derrick 5th, Chris Beats 6th, Brandon Daboni 7th, Kieran Smart at 8th, Matthias Satul in 9th after running in 3rd for the majority of the race. So disastrous last lap for him there. Michael Palic, obviously the battle between himself, Lewis Ward and Grimstad, manages to keep that top 10 position. Lewis Ward wins out between himself and Grimstad to get the 11th. Grimstad in 12th. Otto Hertela in 13th. Dominic Engel 14th. Matthias Beer 15th. Otto Herford. Kurt Kamari, Dennis Miser in 18th. I know there was a fan club on YouTube for him, managing to get his best place. I think we were saying, I think he got 19th last time. Ronald Grossman in 19th and Florian Beer in 20th. So everybody's scoring in this round. So we do have a couple of people waiting in the interview area. So I think I'm going to pull in Bogdan Moldovan for a quick chat. So let's try and pull him in. Hi, Bogdan. Welcome to the commentary booth here. I mean, what an outstanding race that was. I think you and Sven for 55 minutes of that race were about 0.3 and, you know, within 1/10 of a second off each other each lap. How was that race for you, mate?
It was very exciting. I had no moment to breathe. I was constantly trying to hit my marks to be precise because Sven also didn't give me any breathing room. So I drove on the edge on every, I think, lap, with some exceptions when I saw that I make a bit of a gap, but he also gave it back to me. So yeah, it was a very intense one.
Yeah, absolutely amazing to watch on stream. So the start of the race, obviously there was 3 of you, yourself, Sven, and it was Satul who was so a free car at the start of the race, but then you sort of dropped Satul, and then you 2 were in a class of your own, and it was amazing to watch. And we were saying in the commentary booth, you know, this is going to come down to the pit stops, and you seem to win the battle of the pit stops, being coming out a second ahead, but then Sven managed to get on your tail, and you know, unfortunately, the race was sort of decided with a slight incident coming down the corkscrew. What actually happened there?
I'm not sure exactly. I think I touch a bit of sand on the right side, or I brake too hard that I engaged the ABS, so my braking distance was longer, and I overshoot the corner. But yeah, also I did with a lap down on pit stop. So in the last few laps, I needed to do very much fuel saving because of misjudgment with the fuel calculation, and yeah, I was running on fumes the last few laps.
Yeah, we were wondering. Obviously, we thought that maybe it was something to do with your tires. Because how were your tires towards the end of that race? Being like over 40 degrees centigrade, running an hour race around a tight track, I'd imagine it felt pretty sketchy by the end.
Yes, I was running also higher TC in order to save a bit of tire life because the car was sliding very much with the TC that I started the race. And also I think I on the final race I have like 40% tire life in the right side, back right side of the. So yeah, it's very intensive and heavy on the tires, so you need also to look after the tires in a race.
A bit of a mixed bag for yourself during the championship so far. So the first round, obviously, an excellent win on a free car wide over the finish line there to sort of take that first place. And then sort of the last Montreal in the last round. Did you find that one quite difficult track, or is that one of your nemesis tracks that you don't really enjoy racing? Because you seem to come down to around about 10th place, I think it was in that you finished.
There, I didn't do as much practice there because I had some real life business, so I was limited on practice there. But I was talking to myself and said I will make up here at Laguna, where I was very much focused on qualifying because track position is king here. It's one of the track where it's very hard to overtake. So I did a very hard work and it pay off now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the viewing on the screen on the stream, and obviously from our point of view, was an absolutely exhilarating watch of a race that went on to today between yourself. Unfortunately, you came in second place, but you gave 55 minutes of pure battling, and Sven probably had to push as hard as he possibly could, and it all came down to one slight incident. So overall, you certainly got the pace, and only slightly behind Sven at the moment in the championship. So you'll definitely keep that second place. So all to play for. Unfortunately, we don't know what the next round is until the iRacing calendar comes out, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be another exciting track. What's your expectations for the rest of the season?
Well, now I'm thinking a podium would be very nice, and I think it's achievable. I came here to have some fun. I didn't have any goals like to win on the first round because I didn't know the competition. So I just come to have some fun, and so far I really like it because it's, as you said, it's very intense. It's very clean racing. I'm very surprised because lots we gave all those people I saw gave respect to each other. They gave room, so it's the perfect ambient for racing, I think.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining us in the commentary box, and we look forward to some more exciting races involving yourself and Sven. Before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yes, to my friends who are watching this and support me, to my team manager, and my lovely family.
Well, thank you very much, Bogdan, and good luck in the next round, whichever round that might be. So have
Yeah,
fun.
thank you.
Thank you. So there was Bogdan Moldovan, second place today. Obviously, led majority of this race, but obviously a slight incident down the corkscrew let Sven Newman pass, and since that it was on. So we do have another interview for you, Dave. The world famous corkscrew passer called Richard Kavenku.
Richard, podium position at last for you. Probably what your pace is sort of expected over season. I know we looked at your results and they haven't been as high up as this, but that was a great performance by yourself. How do you feel about it?
Great, yeah. This is actually, I think, the first clean race I had this season. Had some problems at Daytona, mainly qualifying, and yeah, just little mistakes here and there that I have to work on. But yeah, I'm happy with the podium. Hopefully, I'll get some many more. Get high up there in the championship.
You had quite a good start, got up into fourth place, was in a bit of no man's land. Then after a pit stop, you caught up with third very quickly, and then literally put me out of a job by after I'd said for the whole race you don't pass around the outside of a corkscrew. Can you talk me through that move?
So I saw him struggling. I didn't know he was out of fuel, and I think he was trying to save fuel. And then I saw some damage. Maybe he picked up from the curb, and I was like, all right, he's struggling. And there was two corners where I was catching up a lot with him, and I was like, right, I have to be on his back, and he's gonna make a mistake. And yeah, he was actually saving fuel, and I think he was trying to take it easy and just try to place his car in the middle of the road. I had a run and I just went for it. I was like, right, just keep to the right, give him space. And then I saw that I brake later than him, and I knew I was gonna make the outside, and that shit just worked out. He actually was like trying to come run the outside on exit, but I was like, I had enough to like cut him off and protect the position. Yeah, so very happy with that.
Yeah, we definitely caught it on stream, and I guess you'll be cutting that one for your own collection in the future.
Yeah.
Obviously, the season hasn't quite gone to plan. Like you say, this is your first clean race. Have you got any sort of expectations for the rest of the season in terms of where you want to finish in the championship?
I mean, I would like to finish in the top 5, but I like to set the bar a bit higher. So I would say maybe top 3. That would be like sweet. I'll be happy with that. Really, really happy.
Where if you keep the performances up like that, you've got a good chance of it. We don't know what circuits are coming up for the rest of the season. Is there any circuit that you would love to see on the calendar coming up in the rest of the year?
Yeah, Coda. Circuit of the Americas. And that's it. That's one I like a lot. And rest, I don't really mind. I think practice on any track he'll get you pretty fast. So yeah, just Coda, please put Coda on.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have a say, but you know, no bribes allowed.
Racing, please put Coda.
Yeah. Is there anybody you'd like to say thank you to, or before you go?
Yep, I would like to say thank you to my family, my parents, to my team, KC Racing Esports, Brandon, Keith, Kurt, and all the guys from KC Racing Esports. V-Rig, I want to thank V-Rig, and yeah, that's it.
Well, I think you certainly put on a show for us, and you can, if you're going to pull moves like that, you can keep pulling me out of a job. So, good luck for the remaining. Yeah, good luck for the remaining rounds, and we'll see you wherever it will be next week.
Thank you.
Thanks. That was Richard Gavencu, who finished third with a brilliant pass around the outside of the corkscrew corner. Many tried to replicate it and couldn't.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, an exciting race here in Laguna Seca. I wasn't expecting it to be as good. Is there any final thoughts from yourself, Dave?
Well, first of all, we know what happened to Satu now. He was running out of fuel, but it sounds like a few of the drivers tried to cut it fine on the fuel and were struggling. Bogdan didn't lose any positions, but he certainly fell well off the pace in the final few laps. But it wasn't just a complete train of cars. We had battles throughout, and as we've already said, we don't know what circuit's coming up, so there won't be a huge amount of practice for these drivers going into next week's race because they just don't know where it will be.
Yeah, hopefully that'll come out as soon as the iRacing calendar comes out. We will update the drivers so they know what the rest of the season is. So that sort of brings us to the end of this broadcast. Big thanks to our sponsors again, Virtual Racing School, SDK Gaming, and Apex Racing Academy. If you have liked this broadcast, please give us a like onto YouTube, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, and you'll get and click that bell, and you'll get notified of when we go live on Apex Racing TV. There's literally a live stream every single night, so head over to apexracingtv.com/schedule to see what's coming up. Pretty much every single car that you can think of. Also, please go onto our Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Look for Apex Racing TV to see all the latest news and gossip that goes on over there. So please join us on our streams as well, and you'll get all the latest information on there. So, you know, a big thanks to the drivers for making this round so exciting. Obviously, a smaller grid than we usually had, but probably paid well for the race that we saw tonight here. So from round 4 here at Laguna Seca on the GT Pro round 4, Sven Newman takes your win. Look forward to seeing you next week. Good night.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.